G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and we're back with another happy flying episode, number 19, and the reason you guys can see me sort of syncing some stuff up there or clapping like a maniac is because we're going to be watching a little bit of DVR down in the bottom left-hand corner. I thought I'd put that on there. And I was going to originally cut it out, but then something very interesting happened. You can see at the start I'm clapping in time, but as the video progresses, we kind of get out of sync. So very, very interesting right there. So probably a little bit of a word of warning, actually, something I never realized. I probably trust the timing of my HD recording camera a lot better than maybe the frame rate of the DVR. So this is recorded straight from my Dominator HD V2s. And you'll notice it's already out of sync a little bit, and then it sort of catches up and slows down again. So for anybody out there who's doing some testing and I guess using the DVR as a timer or something like that, if you're getting it from the HD V2, you definitely, or maybe some of the other Fat Sharks as well, you definitely need to be very careful on just how accurate your timings can be, because you can see it's almost synced back up there again. Anyway, what we're going to be talking about today is all about the throttle. Now, the way we sort of got this video came about, or the way I wanted to discuss this, was because I was flying with one of my mates, Stu, another guy called Stu, actually one of the very few other people I know called Stuart. Anyway, we were flying around, and he's sort of, you know, he's not brand new to the hobby, but he's only been in it about 6 months, and I think he's a really good pilot for the amount of time that he's been in. He was hitting this course fine, but what he was asking was, how are you hitting those gates so easily and at so much speed? Because and then I actually watched him fly, and what he was doing, he was sort of going up and down a lot of time and sort of spending a lot of time, I guess, gaining and losing altitude. And he was sort of diving at each one of these gates, and then when he was coming through, he'd be going back up again and gaining some altitude. And he was almost doing that for every single gate that he was hitting. These three were a little bit different because they were sort of in line with each other, but he was sort of swooping into each gate. And that sort of made me think about a lot of pilots out there who do have difficulty hitting the gates. I think something we really need to work on would be throttle management, because that's going to make your flights so much easier. And I guess if we're thinking about it, if you just sort of think of the axes that we're going to be flying in, so we've you know, got let roll, pitch, and yaw, and we're flying around, you really don't want to have to add in an extra one in terms of throttle or gaining or losing altitude. So something that I really can advise is when you're flying around, see if you can stay a constant height. Now, it's fairly easy in a straight line, but when you're putting it through some turns and things like that, you really need to watch that throttle management. So I find the sharper the turn is, the more you sort of need to blip the throttle, and that's because, I guess, in a hard yaw turn, so maybe just right there, in a hard yaw turn, your quadcopter is almost going to stop spinning two of the motors, because that's how yaw works on a quadcopter, and you're going to need to give it a lot more throttle because you've only got the thrust from two of those motors. So when you're flying around, try to set up a little bit of a course and just practice, can you keep your throttle management, can you keep it at the same height? And this is going to be double awesome. If you ever take your quad out and try some car park racing, all this throttle management is really kind of going to come into play and come into practice. Now you might be saying, that's great, Stu, just saying don't blip the throttle quite so much, but we'll give us some actual little tips or exercises on how to do that. And probably one I got from watching this video is right here, those three gates in a row, they're on a very gentle turn, but by forcing you to have gate after gate after gate in a fairly straight sort of line, so one sort of run, you're not going to have time to dive in and swoop back up after each one. You're going to have to stay low the whole time. So if you ever go out to a field or something and you really want to work on this, I guess a little tip from me would be to put those gates one after another and just see if you can cruise through them all gaining the same altitude, because those visual markers, I guess, the top of the gates, they really are going to help you keep it down when you're sort of first starting out trying to get some throttle management happening. And then the other thing I want to talk about, which is very, very dependent on throttle, is what happens when you actually crash. Now, this is just, I guess, a bit of a bad habit that I'm trying to change myself. And thanks to BOHELIS, I can sort of do this now. But typically, whenever I hit something, I would disarm immediately. But the more I fly around these flags and fields, like right here, if I sort of keep that throttle up and I don't disarm immediately, my quadcopter can actually get out of it. So this is some pretty amazing footage, actually, because I think I crashed on that last gate 3 times in a row, and every time, because I don't disarm, I clipped that one as well, because I don't disarm the throttle, I guess I don't disarm the quad, and I keep the throttle going up a little bit, I seem to just escape every single time. So here's another one, very, very sketchy, and you do have to be kind of quick on the sticks to get your orientation. That's a second one right there, and that's a massive tip I can give people, is if you're racing on flags and fields, try to break that habit of disarming every single time you have a little clip, because you'll never know. There's another one, that's 3 in a row. I swear I wasn't doing that on purpose. But yeah, try not to disarm straight away, because that might be the difference between finishing a race and sort of placing somewhere, or just sort of totally disarming. And sometimes when your quad's up the wrong angle, you're not going to have a very good day and it might not want to get back up. So there's a good little tip. Don't disarm straight away, but you also need to manage that, I guess, on the flip side, that you do run the risk, if you've got your battery loosely secured or you don't feel too comfortable, you may be flying around with a battery hanging off around the bottom of your craft. But I guess if you're in a very professional race, you might not be too concerned about that. It might be more about finishing. So there it is. Hopefully those little tips help some of you guys out there. And I know for me, since I've been actively working on my throttle control just a little bit, my flying I found has been a little bit easier, especially when I'm hitting these gates. So hopefully that did help some of you. Subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying. If you've got any ideas as well, or some things you want me to discuss in these happy flying videos, stick them down below, because it's sort of every time I go out I come across things and I think, oh, that's something that I'd really like to share with you guys, or someone talks about something that I think would make a good video. But if you've got some things as well, definitely stick them down below, because I'm all about sharing and sort of giving back to this FPV community. And so yeah, so some of you guys might have some fantastic video ideas or discussion ideas as well. Anyway, happy flying.